You have to avoid Capital One if you can't accept these 7 secret policies. Doing business with Capital One feels like hitting your head against a brick wall because their actions are so insulting and confusing at times, and because of how they disrespect their long-term customers. This company is just not for a large portion of our credit card community. So I'm going to tell you about the broken system Capital One uses to decide what lucky person finally gets a credit limit increase, how I increased my Quicksilver credit card limit by $10,000 by using 2 simple strategies: the credit card that's getting secretly devalued just about every other month, and the one mistake you should stop making to avoid getting your Capital One account shut down. When you apply with Capital One, especially if you have poor or fair credit, then there's a good chance that you'll be stuck with a painfully low credit limit. People who sign up for credit cards with other companies like Discover and Chase see their limits consistently grow with high usage and time. But Capital One completely breaks that trend. For years, they've been rumored to use a system called bucketing. Now, here's how it works. Imagine you're playing a video game with different levels. You got beginner, intermediate, advanced, and expert. Those are the buckets. Now, when you start, you're assigned a level based on your initial skills. That's going to be your credit score. As you play and use your credit, you get better and improve your credit score. But you can't just jump to a higher level or higher credit limit in this instance. You need a game developer or Capital One to unlock that next level for you. That's going to be regardless of how much you've improved. But here's the thing. For many people, Capital One never unlocks that next level, which keeps them at a beginner with low credit limit. Now, that results in a ton of people improving their credit scores and strengthening up their overall credit profile over the course of 5 or 10 years without seeing any increase in their credit limit. It really makes no sense because most credit card companies are soft pulling your credit once a month or even more than once a month. Check out this data point. Someone said, I've been with them for years and make over $200,000 a year and still only have a $1,000 limit. So typically credit card companies look at your income and your limits with other cards to decide how much credit to give you. But people quickly find out that they can increase the credit limits on all of their other cards except for Capital One, especially if they pick up that card early in their credit journey. Now, another person said, my first card ever 16 years ago or so was a Capital One Platinum card. Currently, it has a $750 credit limit. I never used it much or gave it much thought, but I want to keep it open as it's my oldest card by far. I assume this is a bucketed card. However, I got the Saver One recently with a $10,000 credit limit. I have maybe $26,000 in limits with Chase, maybe $5,000 with USAA Amex. Now, this is a huge problem because if your credit limit doesn't grow with you, then it becomes unusable as your monthly expenses go up. If your old Quicksilver card has a $500 limit and you maxed it out to pay for grocery, then that's going to cause your FICO score to drop. Even if you have a lot more credit available with other banks, your FICO score still considers your utilization rate per card. So it's always a good idea to raise every credit limit you have, especially when one of them is extremely low to begin with. Here's what another person said. They said, I have a $30,000 CD, $30,000 in savings, and it's just with Capital One. My credit score is 760, credit length is about 5 years, and I've held a Quicksilver card for 5 years with a limit of $2,500. They were sending me emails to apply for the Saver card. And finally, I just decided to apply, and the limit is $2,000. This is not usable for me. My monthly transactions are well over $4,000. Currently, primary card is Chase Freedom Unlimited card with a $17,000 limit. So as I was searching for answers about how to increase your Capital One credit card limit, I found the best example of how you can apply multiple strategies to increase those limits. This person said, eventually upgrading the Platinum to the Quicksilver. After 4 years with the card, as with many people on the internet, I was disgusted with the $500 limit I had. I was really thinking about closing the card down. I now have 10 cards and over $150,000 in total limits. I don't actually care what the limit is, but $500 is just insulting. I would have been perfectly fine with $1,000. So a few months ago, I added my son as an authorized user. I thought at least someone should use this card. And I figured this is a downtime in my credit journey, probably won't apply for anything for a while. I decided to try putting high spend on the card and reporting high balances. Last month, I put all of my normal spend on the Quicksilver card. I let $494 report to the credit bureaus. My FICO score dropped like 30 points though. I paid right after the statement closed so I could continue spending on the card. This month, I had a couple choice expenses right away, hit almost $400 right then. I had to make a payment in the first week because, of course, I wanted to use the card for as much as I could. I went on to spend another $200 after the payment cleared. Then last week, a random comment about requesting credit limit increases from Capital One got me thinking, I can request a credit limit increase now for fun, then request again after I post my large balance, and then I got request denied. Then last night, by surprise, I received an email that I was increased to $3,000. I don't even care that this is still my lowest limit card, at least it's not $500. Now, here's 3 things they did right. First, they product changed from the Platinum to the Quicksilver card. Then they added their son as an authorized user to the account. And third, they applied high usage on the card, preferably over 50%, but in this case, it was more like 90%. I even had a similar experience about 3 years ago. I added my wife to my Quicksilver card as an authorized user. Then after a year, I product changed into the VentureX card from the Quicksilver card. I was able to increase my credit limit from $15,000 all the way up to $25,000 over a 2-year period. I did this while maintaining low usage, and my highest balance has been about $400. From my experience, I strongly believe that engagement with your credit card account, like using it for all the features it has and benefits, helps improve your chances of increasing your credit limit with Capital One. But as always, your mileage is going to vary. Now, if you've given up and you're completely done with Capital One and you just threw your card in the sock drawer, you might still be in luck because I've seen plenty of people report that their dormant Capital One card received a totally random credit limit increase out of the blue. I mean, it's nuts. So check this out. So for the last 4 years, I've had a Capital One card stuck at the $750 limit, constantly asking for credit limit increases and always being denied. Then yesterday, I wake up to my card having a $2,200 limit, no email or explanation as to why either. Now, you guys, tell me this. Which one of you want to rely on Capital One to randomly give you a credit limit increase? I'm guessing nobody. That's why I think you should be targeting credit cards from companies that will actually grow with you as your credit score and profile improve. And Chase is a fantastic option for that. They're well known for giving people decent limits right out of the gate. And with consistent, reasonable high usage, they will either give you an automatic credit limit increase or you can request an increase with just a soft credit pull, which is a nice update. They weren't always that way. And if you're into travel, then the Chase Sapphire Preferred is one of the most respected and highly reviewed cards out there. And it comes with 60,000 bonus points when you sign up. And I've seen limits going past $50,000 on this card, and its big brother, the Sapphire Reserve, sky's the limit. Someone got approved for a $100,000 credit limit. That's just bonkers. So please hit the link below so you can learn more about those cards. Now, you should know that Capital One has quietly been devaluing the VentureX card over the past year, and it's showing no signs of stopping. In January of last year, they hit the restaurant lounge access benefit. They said cardholders no longer have access to priority pass restaurants, shopping, and spa services. This is a pretty big deal because Capital One hasn't built out their lounge network to match Amex's Centurion or Delta Sky Club lounges. Then in May of last year, they hit travel portal refunds. They used to offer cash refunds for price drops or if you found a cheaper deal elsewhere. But now they're only giving travel credits. This applies to their price drop protection and price match guarantee features. Basically, instead of getting money back on your card, you get credits for future travel booked through Capital One. That means your refund is locked to Capital One travel portals, so you can't use that money on other platforms, and you won't be able to use those rewards until you book through the travel portal again in the future. Then in September of last year, they removed a statement credit benefit. Capital One has changed how the $300 travel credit works on the VentureX. Before you get it as a statement credit after booking travel, now it's applied like a coupon at checkout. This seems simpler, but it also means that you earn fewer venture miles since the credit reduces your spending amount. Plus, this $300 won't count towards your minimum spend for sign-up bonuses. Also, the old trick of booking a refundable hotel to get the credit and then canceling isn't going to work anymore. And then again in January of this year, they ended a rental car status benefit. The VentureX card is losing the Hertz Presidential Circle status benefit by the end of this year. This was a good perk, offering stuff like vehicle upgrades and adding an extra driver for free. While Capital One hinted that they might extend it, it's still going to be on the chopping block as of now. Many of us are hoping that the devaluations either stop or at least slow down a bit. Hopefully we don't see the annual fee going up anytime soon. Next, Capital One won't tell you that they're more likely to shut down your account than any other large bank. And the number one reason why is because of returned payments. That means the payment doesn't fully go through because you had the wrong payment method or you didn't have enough money in the account. They're super restrictive about this, so it only needs to happen one time and there's no chance of getting that account reopened, no matter how hard you beg. Here's what one person had to say about it. They said, "This weekend I came to find out my Capital One Venture One card had been closed due to return payments. The situation was an unfortunate mix-up where funds had not been transferred from my business account to my savings account on two separate occasions in a small window. The moment I noticed, 2 days later, I deposited the money and reattempted the payment. I spoke to Capital One customer service, where at first they said there is absolutely nothing they can do because I violated terms and agreements. Now, from what I found, since there's no reopening the account, your best bet is to wait 60 days and then start trying the pre-approval tool every month to see what you can confidently apply for." Now, you're probably thinking when you talk to customer service or you go into a Capital One cafe that you're speaking to a decision maker who can change the outcome of your application. But that's just not true. Capital One focuses heavily on computer algorithms to make most of their credit decisions. A credit card underwriter from a top 5 bank said about 80% of decisions were handled by the computer. I can only imagine that Capital One is giving even more power to their latest computer models to deny or approve you. I've even had an audience member tell me directly that Capital One reps could not find a credit card that they were eligible to product change into. It was only after using the product change landing page that I posted for themselves that they were able to finally upgrade their card. Now, my guess is that they're similar to reps from the other large banks. Capital One gives their employees access to limited options on what they can help their customers with. During an anonymous interview, a bank escalation supervisor was asked, "How much power do you guys have when it comes to approving for a card or increasing their limits?" And you know what they said? He said, "Truthfully, it's usually just system done and approved. At least with my company, we ask questions about income and rent, then submit that and gets approved or denied for a random amount. There isn't much we can do." Now, looking at what seems like hundreds, if not thousands of testimonials at this point, with Capital One, there seems to be no manual review. There's no reconsideration line to call if you get denied. Other large banks like Chase and Amex and Citi still have real reconsideration lines to overturn a denial. Now, check this out. This person said Capital One has no reconsideration. Once the computers deny you, that's it. Another person said, "I actually tried calling some customer service line about a reconsideration after getting denied myself, and they just told me no, LOL. Ended up applying for an Amex a few days later after that as my first card, and now I have 4 Amex cards. Their customer service is great. Forget about Capital One." So let's move on. Capital One has one of the most complex and misunderstood credit card lineups in the game. That's because they have 5 different versions of the same exact card with different sign-up bonuses and different terms on each of them. For example, here's every version of the Quicksilver card. You have the Quicksilver Secure card with a $200 deposit, Quicksilver One card with a $39 annual fee, the Quicksilver for Good Credit, there's no intro bonus on that. You have the Quicksilver for Excellent Credit. That comes with a $200 bonus and 0% APR for 15 months. And then you have the Quicksilver Student Card, which comes with a $50 bonus. Now, most average people will never know which version they actually got approved for. Other credit card companies break these cards out into their own products with different names and branding to make their lineup easier to understand. And if that wasn't confusing enough, they also have like 4 different ways to sign up for each card. You got the generic sign up page, the pre-approval page, the VentureX specific pre-approval page, and there's a product change page that they don't really market or let people know about. Now, you'd think Capital One would notify you the moment you're eligible for a product change, but that's never the case. This is something that you'll have to manually check every month. It's like they don't want you to upgrade your useless low-tier Quicksilver card that somehow still charges an annual fee into something better like the Saver card. On top of that, they can change what cards you're pre-approved for on a week-by-week basis. So you're always kind of kept guessing as to what you're eligible for in the future. Now, let's back this up real quick. One person said, Capital One upgrade offers vary by person and card, and they can change daily. I've had an upgrade offer for the Quicksilver to go to the Venture X card for several weeks now. I still do. And mind you, I already have a Venture X card. And listen, if you want links to every Capital One pre-approval page and over 60 more credit cards that you can get pre-approved for with just a soft credit pull, then download my credit card pre-approval master list. I'll leave that link below so you can access it. Now, I want to tell you that there's no doubt that Capital One wants to be the first and only card in your wallet from day one. That's because they're beginner focused. They offer secured cards, student cards, and fair credit card versions of both their Quicksilver and Saver cards. Those are all directed at people that are early in their credit card journey. They even approve people for their premium travel focused Venture X card a lot more often when they have less cards on their credit report. And after reviewing over 20 approvals within the last year, I found the median number of revolving card accounts was only 3. And if you're a person with very little credit history and a lower income, they'll likely approve you for your highest credit limit ever with the Venture X card. Someone said, my income is $55,000. I was approved instantly with a $25,000 credit limit. Here's to making the jump to my first annual fee card. Then another person said, I have a reported income of $29,000, and then they approved me for a $10,000 credit limit. It seems when it comes to Capital One, being a credit card enthusiast with over 10 accounts puts you at a disadvantage for getting approved for their cards. Now, maybe the most damaging effect of dealing with Capital One is their obsession with hard pulling all 3 of your credit reports during sign-up. It's completely unnecessary. And they're the only credit card company that consistently does this. Here's what one person said. Capital One will attempt to hard pull all 3 bureaus when you apply. If one of your credit reports is frozen, there are reports of an application still being approved with just hard pulls on 2 bureaus, so you may be fine. The worst case is you get a denial for failure to access credit bureau report. And then you can make the decision if you want to unfreeze your Experian and proceed. Now, it's good to know that you can try freezing one credit bureau during sign up to avoid pulling all 3 bureaus. I'll definitely be testing this going forward for myself. Listen, we're all trying to protect our credit scores as much as possible. I bet you didn't know that there's a large credit card company that only pulls 1 credit bureau for your first credit card. Then every card after that just requires a soft credit pull. It's amazing. And I found the one person who got approved for 8 credit cards with just 1 hard pull. Check out that video next, and thank you for watching.